My name is Ben Rodgers and I'm a Catchment Sensitive Farming Advisor within the Derbyshire White Peak. For the last 6 years we've been working with our local farmers, looking at ways of using herbal leys as a replacement for perennial ryegrass swards managed with nitrogen fertiliser. I'm here with James Frost, Barkerfields Farm. James, your beef here?
Yeah, we buy baby calves at 3 week old and we take them right through to finishing. We're on a slurry based system. Calves, when they're on milk, are on bedding, and then it's over 2 months old we like to get them onto calf cubicles with slats, and then they're all on slats and cubicles right through to finishing.
All your stock are indoors? And
all indoors, all year round.
Yeah. Everything's
foraged, every field's mown and put in the clamp.
So herbal leys wise, quite an interesting story as to how you got to your current system, coming from where you were some years ago.
Yeah, years ago we, same as everybody else, we were ryegrass and fertiliser. We went out to dairy in 2011, doing the beef job we're doing now, and we were just wondering of a way we could grow grass without fertiliser. And for a number of years we'd had Dave Leeds used to come round and do our rations, and the ex-cowman, and so we asked him one day, because he did a grass seed mix as well, how can we grow grass without fertiliser? And he said the best thing to try is the protein ley, which are red and white clover with ryegrass. We tried that. We planted one of them in 2012 or 13. The previous year we got a field outside, which was just straight ryegrass, and it was a good comparison because that field on its second year, its best year, it had had slurry on, 50 units of 20-10-10 and sulphur. The field outside was the protein ley. We ploughed it up that year, put the protein ley in. It did 3 heavy cuts, as heavy as the ryegrass field next door, and that was in its first year, and with no fertiliser, just smuck, and then we just put slurry on after every cut we took off it. And so we thought, well, if we're getting these sort of crops, why are we bothering going around with ferto spinner when we can get, we can do it without. So the advice we got from Dave were good, and
so you just went down that route?
Went down that route there, and then my dad were reading through the Cotswolds seed book, and he said there's a herbal ley in it. It's got the same as the protein ley, but some herbs in as well. And so he said, well, ask Dave next time he's here. So next time Dave came round, we asked him about this herbal ley, and he said, damn, that's why we're taking you next. He said, if you're impressed with the protein ley, you definitely have a go at the herbal ley. And so ever since 2014, we've been putting herbal ley.
You've never looked back? So in terms of your current system now, you've been introducing herbal leys over quite a long period of time, to the point now you're basically on a whole farm system around herbal leys, is that right?
Yeah, the last year of us milking, that year we put about 40 or 50 acre of oats in, and because we'd levelled some ground up, and once we'd levelled it we put this corn in. And so we got onto the system. We thought we'd like to go down the route of a percentage of farm's corn and go around reseeding the whole farm. Yeah. And so we started that one in 2011. After that first lot of corn we put in, went back to the ryegrass, and then we went on to the protein leys after that, and then on to herbal ley. Ideally, we'd like to be 2 years at corn, and then maybe 4 to 5 years at herbal ley.
And you found that 4 to 5 years is about the right spot for the herbal leys in terms of how long they perform and last?
I think, yes, with herbal leys or any even ryegrass, I think if you want to get the most out of it, I think you'll find in them first 5 years where you get the most production. After that, everything always tails off. We have had some herbal leys that last longer than that, but you've not got quite the same production. The idea of the corn is weed control, because when you go back into herbal lay, you can't spray it. So if you can't spray, you need to go into a clean seed bed.
And that's because you can't spray for broadleaves in a herbal
In
lay,
herbal
you've
lay,
got
yes.
the herbs and legumes.
The downside is this here field we're in now, we can't spray it for weeds because we put the vetch in.
Yes.
The idea was originally this time was just have it oats on its own like, and then my dad liked the idea of putting some vetch in to put some protein in, so we did that. And for any weed control in this year it would have to be next year for we put grass back in again.
Unless you sacrificed your vetch sort of thing,
well,
which is a shame, but
that is the only other option we've got
to
sacrifice that. But
so it's a good opportunity for weed control.
Weed control, yeah, clean your weeds up, then go back into a clean seed bed.
And I guess you're benefiting from the fertility as well that's built up under the herbal lay to grow a good crop.
You're building up your fertility with having all your clovers and your herbs and everything like. You're building up your nitrogen bank in the ground, because every cut we do is always slurried afterwards. So we're feeding the crop that's growing, and then when we put the corn in, straight after we plant it, we put slurry on.
So your legumes in your herbal lay are providing you nitrogen, and you're returning your P&K all the time, because obviously all your stock's housed, you're taking the forage off, so you need to return your P&K in the slurry, don't you?
Yeah, it works well for us, and a few baby calves are on straw, so that bedding muck goes onto the cornfields as well.
Are you talking oats or barley or both?
Last year was oats and barley.
So a mix?
A mix.
Blend,
This year it's all oats with vetch in. We always like oats.
Your herbal lay mixes, I mean, obviously you're cutting all of yours rather than grazing.
Yes.
You know, what would you consider essentials in your mixes?
The biggest driver for us for production is the red clover. We always like at least 4 kilo an acre of red clover. We always have white in, there's always 1.5 kilo of white in per acre. Plenty of ryegrasses in, festoliums, all the herbs in as well. Like. But the thing that puts the power in the ground is the red clover.
Yeah.
The other thing is it puts a lot of protein in the silage as well, like, which helps you. We don't buy protein to grow frame.
And it suits cutting, doesn't it, red clover?
Yeah, red clover suits cutting all the time.
And chicory as well, you have chicory in your silage mixes and your herbal lays?
Yeah, chicory, plantain. The herbs, they're always bringing up the minerals out of the ground, like. I think the cattle do better than if you just straight ryegrass. One thing we have cut out is, as I said before, the protein. When we first went onto the herbal lays, a lot of the farms still ryegrass. So we're always having to buy protein in to mix in with the silage for the growing animals. Now we just have corn up to 6-7 month old, the nuts with the silage, and then just the herbal lay silage to grow the frame, and then we just add crimped maize in at the end to finish.
Saving money on
bought-in protein,
on growing the thing with nitrogen and on the purchased feed. So
there's then benefits there as well. Like, so.
And in terms of the chicory, I mean, obviously the thing that's often quoted is when it sort of gets too mature and it bolts and you've got this woody stem, but you're not too...
For a number of years, when we first started on herb lens, sort of quite a bit of farmers still ryegrass, we used to do about 4 cuts a year. But we used to silage yourself, and then we went on to the forage box, 4 cuts a year, and you can get 4 cuts out of the herbal lay. But we used to find that the red clover and the chicory were very stemmy, and so we found that when we were doing our own silaging, we were on precision chop. They went onto the forage box and it was a little bit longer. The cattle could sometimes sort out the stems, so we went back to precision chop and went on to got a contractor with self-propelled chopper. So it doesn't matter to us as long as you're chopping it short. It all goes in the clamp and they eat everything like.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty good quality stuff, the silage. I know you've had it tested.
It's always very good, always very high in sugar, always very good on protein. Cattle do well on it.
Yeah, yeah.
The cattle are the thing that tell you what they're doing.
They're the judge, aren't they?
They're the ones that show you what's happening like.
situation where you're going from the cereal stubble, and you said it's a good entry for herbal leys. Clean, you know, you've dealt with your weeds. What would be your typical process for getting your herbal ley in?
Depends on the season. Ideally, I like to min-till with the downy drive, or some people have your simmer disc sort of thing.
Yeah, so just working that top
sort
of 10
work the top 3
centimetres.
to 4 inches,
Yeah.
just work your topsoil, and then we like to go in with the Einbach tine arrow, you get with the air seeder and get the herbal ley in that way.
So obviously that's putting it on, effectively broadcasting, so nice and shallow. And you roll that afterwards?
This time we flat rolled it. The corn that was undersown, that was Cambridge rolled.
Cambridge roll.
Depends on the conditions every time. That's the main
As long
thing.
as you get that seed soil contact.
Seed soil contact. If you're doing a reseed, we've always found the best way is min-till, get plenty of soil there, and then you put your seed in. If it's a bit, it looks like it's too wet or anything, well, a bit catchy weather, and you don't cultivate the ground, then we'd probably go for a direct drill and drill the herbal ley in that way. We try and work to
the
conditions that's there at the time.
But the other option coming out of herbal ley, you would normally just sort of plough that. You were going into corn after the herbal ley.
It depends on the season again. I'd normally, ideally, I'd just spray with the glyphosate with nurture N in, and then I'd probably down the drive. That's what I prefer to do, because here, where we are, going a bit too deep with the plough, you can fetch a lot more stone up. So what we find is, with only working them top 4 inches with a downy drive, we'd normally put corn in, after we're using the downy drive, the min-till system. Ploughing's only if we have to.
And you're maintaining that soil structure, aren't you, that you've developed on the herbal ley? You're keeping the good soil at the top, and you're not burying it, bringing up subsoil.
That's always the biggest trouble with the ploughing. If you just go that little bit too deep, you're bringing a bit of subsoil up, and you're burying the good soil. And you need to keep that. It's one of your main assets on the farm is your topsoil, and you don't want to bury that in underneath. But this year we've actually direct drilled the field we're in here at the moment. We sprayed off, we used a glyphosate with nurture N in, and then about a month, 5 weeks later, we direct drilled the corn into this.
And it's come very well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has done well. We haven't done direct drilling corn before, so it was a bit of a trial, especially to put all of it in one with the direct drill, whereas you might try one field, we end up...
You're going all in.
Yeah, we've direct drilled about 85 acre corn in this time. Sometimes if we've got behind on rotation 4, we have gone from herbal ley to herbal ley, sprayed off, but we've min-tilled again. We have tried direct drilling into existing leys, overseeding, and it kind of works. I wouldn't start putting 10 kilo of seed into an existing old ley. I think you're far better off getting rid of the old ley and starting fresh in. If it's direct, spraying it off with Roundup and direct drilling, you're
doing it properly.
Yeah, do it properly, get rid of the old. And I know a lot of farmers, they'll direct drill one day, and a few days later they'll spray off the old ley afterwards. But I think the main thing is getting rid of all the old.
The competition.
All the competition
has gone. Yeah,
get rid of all your competition and just have a clean, fresh bed.
Have you noticed any benefits of having all those diverse roots in for like soil structure and its ability to take water in or hold water?
Like this year within dry spring, if you dug down, a lot of people saying it was dry, we were still getting dark brown soil. One of the problems can be moles. They were pushing up dark brown soil, so there was moisture down there. The ground does seem to hold the moisture well. One thing with herbal ley, it will last longer. A lot of people around here were mowing nearly a month ago to save the ryegrasses alive, whereas we left ours because it was still okay. The last week of hot weather did touch it. It were hitting it hard then, but then the rain came and it bulked up.
Bulked it up.
And we were okay then. It's better for travelling on in winter because it is more aerated with the long tap roots in and everything. And I guess in winter if there's a lot of rain, it holds it in, soaks it up, but you can travel on it.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the white clover in the bottom, the rhizome roots, it's like going on a wire mesh underneath there.
So it infiltrates, water infiltrates better
into soil, but when you travel on it with machinery, I think if there's plenty of white clover in the bottom, I think you can travel on the ground better as well.
Have you noticed an increase since you've been on this system in insects and wildlife generally?
A couple of years ago, first time I'd seen one in a long time were grasshoppers and crickets, and we do get a lot more insects. The mower's covered in bumblebees and different flies and gnats and ladybirds and everything. There's lots of insects about.
Yeah.
If you went into ryegrass fields, there was nothing at all on top of the mower, and as soon as you went back to Herbal ley, you're absolutely covered in bees and ladybirds. So it did show you what.
It's got to be doing something, hasn't it?
Well, they wouldn't be there unless there was something for them to be there for.
Benefit.
Like. There's a benefit to them, like.